Have you experienced the awesome power of the Panasonic Real 3DO system? Obviously.
Presenting 3DO, the most advanced home gaming system in the universe. It's time to put away your toys.
3DO from Panasonic, Gold Star, and Creative Labs. A new low price and free games.
Mind-blowing graphics of Panasonic Real 3DO.
3DO.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 3DO Experience, the 3DO retrospective podcast where we talk about all things 3DO, the company, and shit. Anyways,
to be fair, you did just have your wisdom teeth removed, so maybe you shouldn't be doing the intro.
yeah, maybe. I also haven't done a podcast since the last GNC we recorded because Matt's still on his vacation, so I'm a little rusty right now. But
Do you want to do an edit? Do you want me to do it?
I'll leave the fuck up in. It's fine.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to 3DO. I am the healthy co-host of the show, Thrak, dealing with a recovering Bill at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, he looks a little swollen, audio listeners, but he's hanging in there. How much blood came out?
Not as much as I thought. It might be
Okay.
because I only got the bottoms out.
Yeah, it could have been because mine, I had all four taken out when I did it, so it was oozing for quite a long time.
I know when I
constantly taking the gauze out.
I know when I brushed my teeth this morning, like a substance came out of my mouth, and I was like, I don't know what that is, and I'm kind of.
I assume did they give you the stitches that dissolve?
I think so. I think that's what I feel in there.
Well, there are stitches in there, obviously, but
Yeah.
So I know how it used to be. They would have to, like, after a while, you'd have to set up a follow up meeting so they could pull the stitch out. But when I got them, they just dissolved right into the gums. So
I'm assuming that's what they gave me because they didn't tell me anything about a follow up or anything. They literally, like, I woke up from it. Basically, they got Alex, and then I was ushered out the door, and it was like that was it. I was like, okay.
Yeah, you're out for what, like 2 hours?
Wasn't even that long. It was like barely an hour.
Nice. Did they ask you to play any music before you went under?
No, literally, they just like put the they gave me some gas because they knew I had needle phobia, to get the IV in, and then the worst part of the thing was literally because my mouth was so swollen from just like it was pinching on a nerve so bad by that point that like I could barely open my mouth. I had to like jam my mouth open to get that fucking rubber block in there to keep my mouth open. That was the worst part because like that was like extremely painful. But then they gave me the anesthetic, and it was like 2 seconds later, and then the next thing I know, I'm awake.
Nice. I remember being like they put me on a general anesthetic, and I don't remember ever fully going out. I think I did, but I do remember waking up halfway through it, but it was like I was so groggy that I didn't do anything. And it's like you could feel them. I could feel them in the back of my mouth doing stuff. It didn't hurt, but I could just feel stuff going on in there. But when I went under, they asked me like, "Oh, what kind of music do you want?" So knowing you would have been like, "I'll put on some Kiss or something," and they'd been like, "God damn it."
No, I would have said something weirder, like some like AFI or something.
And they'd be like, "Who's that?"
Probably.
A fucking institution.
Oh, the American Film Institute. I see. I'm like, no.
Yeah. Put on a movie.
A Fire Inside, please.
Can you put on the Captain Quazar soundtrack?
That would probably keep me up because we'll get to that.
We'll get into that. Yeah.
Yeah. I posted some wonderful comments across Discord, and if anyone's in the servers, they probably saw some of my wonderful high as fuck commenting after I got home.
Yeah, because Alex did do the video, but she forgot to turn the sound on. So
she still doesn't know what happened there, but if you watch that video clip, you can tell I'm high as fuck.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's always a good part. Yeah.
I was he was disappointed because I wasn't as high as she was expecting, but I was still pretty out of it.
You have a high tolerance due to your years and years of recreational drug use.
Yeah, that's a thing. I must have forgotten about it.
To be fair, you probably could. If you had enough drugs, you probably forget about it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I was worse than I thought. I know Aaron told me to go to bed twice, so
Yeah, it's always a good idea. I didn't pay too much attention because I've been busy.
yeah, because you started the new job, right?
Yes, I started that on Monday. So
Nice.
we're recording this on Tuesday. So by the time you hear this, I'll be at work on Wednesday, and it's going pretty well. Still kind of getting my feet wet. I wouldn't say it's particularly difficult. It's just there's a lot, but
Yeah.
thankfully everyone's being really friendly and helping me along when I need it. So
That's good.
I'm gaining some confidence. So I won't go too deep into the job stuff because a lot of it involves like students and their like personal information and all that kind of stuff. So I won't give any too nitty gritty details like that. But so far it's going pretty well. In fact, I typically pack my lunches because it's usually cheaper to do, and I figured I'm in an office, I might as well. But they, I guess, like to order out all the time. Like the 2 days I've been there, they're like, "Oh, we're getting this. Do you want anything?" I'm like, "Nope." And then as I was leaving today, one of the guys is like, "Do you just pack every day?" I'm like, "Yeah, it saves me money, and I know what I'm getting. And if you're trying to be healthier, it's kind of better to do because then you can just kind of pinpoint it." And so he's looking into doing that. So maybe I'll give him the confidence to do it.
I know in my old job we used to order out all the time, and after a while that packs up on you.
Yeah. Like maybe once in a while I'll do it, but for the most part, I prefer just heating up my veggie lo mein and just eating that.
Yeah, I'll tell you though, I'm gonna be tired of soup for like a while after this.
Yeah. Soup, applesauce, Jello, some noodles. You can do some very soft noodles, mashed potatoes, that kind of stuff. And yeah, you get sick of that stuff really fucking quick.
Yeah, not looking forward to it, but it is what it is.
When you get to bite your first potato chip again, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. Hopefully it won't be that much longer. Just got to get through this week or so. But
it takes you a week to recover from that?
I don't know yet.
Okay, because when I got all 4 taken out, I was good to go after like 4 days.
4 days. I'm just always like overly generous with my times because I never know.
Yeah. I assume did you just take the whole week off work?
No, I got to go back tomorrow, which sucks. But I legit don't have any more sick time. So
lame.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it is what it is, and I don't want to cut into all my vacation time. So
fair enough.
But yeah, other than that, I haven't been playing a lot of games because I've been focusing on all this stuff. I watched a bunch of anime because I legit didn't feel like doing anything else yesterday.
I feel like watching anime while high off of like post-surgery would either be the best or worst way to experience it.
So we watched Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, which I've already seen, so I didn't need to focus too much on it. It was mostly I picked something that Alex hadn't seen that I didn't have to pay too much attention to, so it wasn't too bad. And that show's wild enough as it is, so I probably was fine.
That's good. I've been playing. I kind of got my hooks into, this game got its hooks into me. Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga. I don't have a physical. It was on sale on the Xbox store for like $5, and for some reason I was thinking about it, and I was like, "Yeah, let's just start playing it." And now I'm at like 92% done. I've put like almost 35 hours into it. It feels like an eternity. As any Lego game, it's not difficult. It's tedious, and there's a lot of things to do. And that if you want 100% it, like I'm trying to do, you essentially have to play through the whole game like 3 or 4 times, which is annoying.
The biggest bitch for me in that game was the fucking Lego City like mini game level. Because
there's 2 of them.
Yeah, there's 2 gold bricks in there, and getting them is a fucking pain in the ass.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be because you don't have to worry about the time limit. You just have to get the million studs.
Yeah, it's just you have to figure out the perfect route, and like trying to figure that out at first isn't the easiest thing to do, but once you figure it out, it's fine. It was just it was just so annoying because it was like so different from everything else.
For sure. All I have left now is I've gotten all the I've gotten the only things I'm missing are the blue mini kits, like the challenge ones in I believe episodes 3 through 6. In fact, I just finished the episode 2 once before this, and I'm working and the super stories. So I'm at a point now where I'll go in, do the blue mini kits for all of episode 1, then do the super story, and then I'm done. And I'm working on the super story for episode 2.
Nice.
So, and the super stories, I'm seeing conflicting stuff on you have to get 100,000 stubs and beat it within an hour. Some people say you don't have to worry about either. Some say you have to worry about at least one of them. I don't know. So I'm just basically, when I start it, I get 100,000 stubs as fast as I can, or studs. I'm saying studs, and then just breeze through the rest of it. So far it's not having any issues, but the prequel stages are really short.
Yeah.
It's the original trilogy stages that nearly double in size. So we'll find out. So hopefully I don't have to play it too much longer, because I am getting sick of it. But I'm this far in. I don't want to give up on it. So, and then hopefully I can find somebody to play it Xbox Live with me, so I can get that one achievement of playing a level and then be done with it.
Yeah. That's the last really good Lego game that I remember enjoying.
I mean, there's some good ones post that. I like the Lego Indiana Jones ones. People have a lot of praise for the Lego Batman games. Lego City's not bad for being an original one.
For an original game, yeah, Lego City was great.
Yeah. So
it's when they started doing weird, funky shit that's when I lost it. I played the Lego Star Wars the Skywalker Saga one. Me and Matt were playing that, and we legitimately fell asleep because we were that bored.
Yeah, I played a bit of it. I respect it for trying something that's much more expansive, but I wonder if it was too expansive, if they went too far with it.
We got stuck in Genosis and legitimately fell asleep because we didn't know what to do.
Yeah, so this will probably be the only Lego game I ever truly 100%. So. But who knows? Because I've looked up the how long to beats on some of the other ones, and oh god, some of them can be ridiculous.
I think the moment I lost interest was when they started talking. That kind of lost me. Yeah,
I mean, I may go back to Lego Indiana Jones, because I remember really liking those. So just to see how those hold up. But
Lego Batman 1 was pretty good too.
Yeah, people tend to I think Lego Batman 2 the most. That's the one people seem to like.
2's a good game. I just don't like the fact that they talk. That just throws me out of it.
Yeah, fair enough. And then I hear really good things about Lego Lord of the Rings. So, we'll see. But trust me, after this, I am all Legoed out.
Yeah, that's understandable.
And I'm ready to play the game for the game club this month that I picked, which is Grim Fandango. So, yeah, over in the SuperPod Discord, the game for this month is Grim Fandango. And some of the guys have been playing it, and I think they're enjoying it. But I haven't touched it yet.
It is a very interesting game.
Yeah. And I've always wanted to play it, so I figured I'd, why not, right? And so I'd take my time with it because I'm in no hurry to finish it. Let somebody else finish and pick the next game. So,
yeah. It's one of those games where you could really tell Tim Schafer was ahead of his time.
For sure. I loved him so much. And the other thing, I was thinking about what Double Fine's been up to recently, right? And they just released, it was an hour and a half extension of their Psychonauts 2 documentary. And it kind of implies within that documentary their next steps moving forward. Because they get asked about Psychonauts 3 and you get a mixed reaction from the team. But I think their plan is to do what have been doing, which is breaking up into smaller teams and making kind of smaller games. And I think Tim's idea is with Game Pass, we can do all these little weird ideas and then just throw them on the service so that, it beefs up the content for there. And then we have a direct flow of content straight to, the service. So there hasn't been anything produced from that yet, but I hope it's not much longer because I really want to see what Double Fine's next project is. Yeah. Because I really want to do Psychonauts 1 and 2. So I hear great things about both games. And what I've played of Double Fine games, I really enjoy. I know Tim's wanted to do Brutal Legend 2 for a while now. I mean, he does have the Microsoft money behind him now, but that would probably be a really big project. So it might not be a right away type thing, but who knows?
Plus, it's a licensing nightmare, but
that's what the Microsoft money's for.
True.
To figure that shit out.
The irony is, though, a lot of those bands, their catalogs are owned by Sony, which I've always found really amusing. Just in the
the record industry is the consolidation behind that's really bad. I think it's just
I'm sure
3 labels who have everything.
I mean, Sony and Microsoft will work together if it makes sense to them.
Oh yeah, they do it all the time. Like I mean, Microsoft's consoles have Blu-rays. I think there's like some Sony games that use Microsoft servers for online play. So.
Oh yeah, no, people make up the whole Microsoft and Sony hate. They don't. It's business.
It's a friendly competition.
Yeah. Speaking though of recent gaming news, do you want to talk about Bungie or Game Informer real quick? Or
all gross. It's all gross. Bungie. Yeah, they're totally independent from Sony, guys. But how many people they lose? It was like 2,200 people.
From what it sounds like, the Sony had nothing to do with this. It was all internal.
Yeah, I'm sure Sony pushed them a little bit.
Well,
but
it's hard to say because Bungie CEO is then posting all these pictures of buying fancy exotic cars. So
yeah, doesn't look good, does it? They laid off 220 employees, I believe.
Which was I think 20% of their workforce.
Yeah, and I was hearing things about it was like PlayStation's acting CEO was like shitting on Bungie for like overspending and not just wasting time, like wasting resources basically, which I feel like checks out from what we know about Bungie.
They've always been kind of difficult.
Yeah, ask Microsoft. Even though it's weird, I think they had a better deal under Activision. But I don't think they'll ever really admit to that. But who knows? Yeah, but that people losing jobs in this always sucks. I did see some people try to turn to a console war thing, and it's just not worth it.
Yeah, this is just Bungie being incompetent like usual.
Yeah. I mean, if they were fully owned by Sony, would this have affected it in one way or the other? Who can say? Who really can say? But it sucks. And yeah, the Game Informer thing. I mean, GameStop sucks. We all know this. They're fucking terrible. They've always been terrible. And then they did that really shitty tweet like surrounding this where they're like, oh, if you just buy physical games, it won't close Game Informer. And it's like, fuck you, dude. How about you actually stock physical games in your fucking stores? And then maybe we'll talk about it.
How about not make your store like 70% a toy store with like
that's on clearance. Like the whole fucking thing's on clearance. And then don't, if I try to buy a new game, don't just put a fucking disc in the display case and then I pay the new price.
Yeah, I hate that too.
I fucking I've gotten mad about that before, like in the store. And I'm not a guy who does that, but I've said like, do you guys like have a sealed copy? And then and sometimes if they say no, I'm like, well, then I don't want it. Or I can pay the used price.
Have you seen the new thing going around where they're so like desperate to get their numbers in that they're trying to sneak in the $5 protection plans on people?
Yeah, I've seen that. And I honestly won't be surprised if GameStop in the next couple of years tries to expand their retro section. Because if you go into a GameStop now, there is retro stuff in there. Like if you go in the Xbox section, you'll see a fair amount of 360 games that honestly look like they never left the shelves.
Yeah, it's always like bottom of the barrel scraps. Like there's
I will say
the weird shit.
Yeah, the one that's like right by my house in their Nintendo section, they had a couple Wii U games, some Wii games, some not bad Wii games, and they had one GameCube game. I forget what the GameCube game was, but they had one. And then in the PlayStation, it's just like PS3 stuff.
Yeah, there's always a bunch of PS3 stuff. Rarely you'll see behind the counter they'll have like a Saturn game or something just chilling there, and I'm always like, that's funny.
I've yet to see that.
I saw one. It was like, I forget what game it was, but it was like the price was so fucking unrealistic. I was like, yeah, no, thank you.
They've been studying the market.
Well, then I've seen how they treat their retro stuff. Like, I don't trust GameStop with retro at all.
We see how they treat their current stuff.
I know.
And if you do some digging, we know the history of them like destroying copies of games that didn't sell. Yeah. Or the whole Xenoblade thing when Xenoblade 1 came out on the Wii, that whole mess. Yeah. Like there's so much bad press around GameStop that like them going out of business I wouldn't feel sad or anything. I mean, I feel bad for those workers, obviously.
That's my whole thing with the whole like I don't agree with the whole boycott GameStop thing because of the Game Informer shit. I'm like, it's shitty, but do you really want to fuck over all of those of GameStop employees?
Yeah, and people saying that, I'm like, did you guys read a Game Informer? Did you really?
No,
Because all I ever heard about like the whole GameStop thing was when you would have the pro membership, and then they'd be like, oh, you can get Game Informer. All I remember is people being like, nah, I don't want that.
I did read it when I had the subscription. I lost interest towards the end, right around COVID, when they stopped doing the physicals, they kind of just ended my subscription. I was like, okay, cool, whatever.
Oh, they don't even print a physical magazine anymore?
They just started bringing them back right before they shut it down.
Do they have a website, or did they have a website?
Yeah, so that's the shitty part. So like a good friend of the community, Matt Storm, I believe he worked for the he did like sound on the Game Informer podcast or something like that. Like he was a part of them. And he was he had mentioned like I guess like they locked like everyone out of the website, I believe.
Yeah. That's
like
really
just deleted everything. Like it's gone.
Yeah, I remember them saying something about that. Which again, GameStop doesn't surprise me at all.
No.
I miss EB Games.
I miss KB Toys. Like
KB Toys was great.
Like honestly, I mostly shop at retro or like independent mom and pop shops now. Unfortunately, they just don't always get the new games.
Yeah, because I think there's more hoops you got to jump through to have those. So it can be more difficult. I don't know if any independent mom. There's quite a few retro stores around me, but I don't think any of them offer brand new games. I don't think a single one does. So it probably wouldn't be a bad idea for one of them to look into it. You know, like I could almost picture myself going into one of them and like saying, hey, do you guys ever stock like brand new games? And they'd probably be like, no. And I'd be like, maybe you should. Why not?
I mean, honestly, it's a lot of the times it's easier if you're trying to get a brand new game rather than trying to jump through the hassles of GameStop. Just go to Target. Target usually has it.
Yeah. Like my go-to used to be Best Buy, but Best Buy I can't anymore because like they just don't stock anything anymore.
They don't stock anything. And like the closest Best Buy to me is like considerable drive away, so it's not even worth it.
Well, it used to be on the commute to my old job. So if I ever wanted a new game, I would just go there. But like, I'm not going to go all the way out there for that now. So basically these days, if I really want a new game that's physical, I'll just order it off Amazon.
I know. I hate
and
giving
pray
Bezos
that it shows
money,
up on time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like they have the stock and it fucking shows up. So
it's one of those things where it's just you kind of get used to it. Sometimes I'll buy them on eBay.
Like there's been so many times where I've gone into GameStop wanting a brand new game that came out like that day or maybe a day prior, and they just don't have any. Or they'll say like, oh, we only ordered like enough to fulfill the pre-orders, and that's it. And I'm like, well, why the fuck is there a physical game store if you're not going to have physical games? If you're going to do the mail order thing, like I'll just do that myself. I've never understood like any store where they're like, oh, we don't have this specific thing, but we can just order it for you. Or I'm like, I have eBay, I have Amazon, I'll just do it myself. Like it's going to cost more to ship it to them, and then they give it to me, you know?
It's a dying brand, and unfortunately it's on its way out.
Oh yeah. Well, we've seen the death of GameStop before our very eyes.
Oh yeah.
You know,
the second they bought ThinkGeek, and they basically closed all the ThinkGeeks and just basically made all the GameStops ThinkGeeks, I was like, yeah, this is about where it's this is the end.
yeah. When it's like it's more toys than games. So unless they really change things up, I just think they're fucked.
A lot of people always joke about it being like 80% Funko Pops, which there's still a lot of them, but there isn't that many Funkos anymore.
It's just like who goes to the GameStop to buy Naruto shirts?
Yeah, some people do.
You can get a Naruto shirt anywhere.
You can, but GameStop does. You'd be surprised. Some anime fans will buy the weirdest things.
See, but I'm starting to see like more specialty like anime shops pop up.
Well, yeah, you can get anime shit anywhere nowadays.
Yeah, so it's like, what the fuck's the point? Like, I would like if GameStop, if they treated their employees better, like had more ample stock of games and took better care of them, I'd probably go there more, but as it stands, I'd rather not. And did you ever work at GameStop?
Nope.
Okay, because a friend of the show, Burger Champ, he worked at GameStop for quite a while. I think he was a manager at one point. So if you want more of like the gritty details, you can ask him. And he said that like, I remember when the Game Informer thing happened, he was like, he was sad to see it go, but like, because he worked there and you like pushed it on so many people, he's just like, I kind of fucking hate it.
Yeah. No, I'm sad to see it go just because there was some pretty cool people working there. And I did enjoy the magazine for its time. I lost interest later on, though, just because I stopped following video game news and I just kind of stuck to what I cared about.
Yeah. The one time I had like the pro membership where you got the subscription, I remember reading it for a bit and it was okay, but
there was some fun articles in there every now and then.
Sure. But like my all-time favorite experiences with video game mags would be in my middle school library. For some reason, they had like a couple of issues of Nintendo Power from like the mid 2000s, and I would just read those over and over again. And I loved those. Nintendo Power knew how to like really make the magazine inviting, like every time. You know, it was always like they always put so much care.
They did. Sony, I'll give Sony a ton of credit. PlayStation Magazine, the fucking demo discs, like for years. That was a genius move.
Discs. Oh yeah.
And the magazine was pretty good too. Like there was some fun stuff in there.
For sure. But like we grew up at the time where magazines were starting to go away. Like they were still a thing, but the internet was getting bigger and bigger, that it was, you know, magazines were going to go pretty quick. And sure enough, they did.
Yeah, the second Nintendo Power went, I was like, yeah, this is not a good sign for Game Informer.
Like, I think magazines are trying to have some kind of comeback because I'm seeing them a little bit more than I used to, but it just feels like people who are trying like really hard to cling on to something that's just like, I get it, I do, but there's really no reason for them anymore.
Yeah. I have a big tote I got to go through at some point of all my Game Informers because I saved all of them. Like I never threw them away.
Oh, I got rid of mine. I probably should have saved them because I'd be curious to what they had. I think one of them was like, had like Titanfall on it, but I didn't know what a Titanfall was at the time.
I still remember the first one I got had the preview for, it was 3 previews. It was the preview for Twisted Metal 2013, Tomb Raider 2013, and Mortal Kombat 9.
That wasn't in 2013.
Well, there was those were previews for them because the magazine was out a couple of years before they came out.
But Mortal Kombat 9 came out in like 2009.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but I remember seeing him.
It might have been Mortal Kombat 10. When did 10 come out?
No, it was pre-PS4. It was pre-PS4. That wasn't out yet.
Yeah, that came out in 2015. So Mortal Kombat 9.
Oh no, I'm sorry. 2011. Tomb Raider 2011 and Tomb Raider and Twisted Metal was 2011. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Mortal Kombat was 2011. Twisted Metal was 2011. Yeah, Tomb Raider was 2013 though.
Was it? Maybe
Twisted Metal was 2012.
2012. They were kind of all around that same period. I remember Tomb Raider was in development for a while.
Yeah, and this is saying that like Twisted Metal was supposed to come out in October 2011, but it got delayed to next year. Yeah,
that's what I remember. Okay. I'll have to dig that out at some point.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what mine were because the only reason I had it was sorry, I sound like shit today. The only reason why I even got it was because a friend of mine, she was working at the GameStop. I think she was like a manager. And I was just like, she essentially asked me to like get one just to like fulfill her quota, basically.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, sure. So I was nice to her. I had it for a year. And then by the year's end, she was gone. So yeah, I like the idea of working in a game store. You know, it had this like romantic, cool idea about it, but in practice, from being in them and hearing stories from people, they don't sound very fun.
No, it always sounds better than it actually ends up being.
Like I'd rather work in, say, a local retro store. Like that would probably be kind of cool. But again, it's like I have bills to pay, and I don't think this is going to pay the bills unless it was like a co-op, and unless they did like a co-op situation where I shared in the profits. Like maybe it'd be affordable then, but I don't know. So
yeah,
but
that's a job.
Good luck, Chris.
Yeah. Well, Chris is going to be the owner, so
I'm not working for Chris. I'm not moving. I'm not moving out of state to work at a video game store. I'm okay.
If he does it, if he
I
plays
just
his
got
cards right-
I just got a potentially comfy
Oh, yeah.
office job, so I think I'm all right.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking on Chris's behalf. I think as long as he plays his cards right, he should be okay.
Yeah. So
But yeah. So before we completely go off the rails further, we should talk about our game for this episode. Captain Quazar.
look at this. Look at this Crimson Shin ass boy. Look at him.
His voice is the funniest thing in this game.
Whoa!
And
So you got it. First take. You're good. You can leave.
Yeah, and he just sounds so like awkward and uninterested the entire time.
Yeah. The back of the case, if anyone's curious. Big gun, big muscles, big trouble. Outstanding action-packed gameplay. Explore 10 levels on 3 crime-infested planets. A totally original cartoon character and a fresh, rapid-fire adventure only available for the 3DO system. Simultaneous 2-player action with plenty of objects to destroy for the both of you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to do a heavy cough. Yeah. Captain Quasar. I've alluded before that I don't think Gex is the real 3DO mascot. And this is where I'm like, this guy, to me, is the 3DO's mascot.
Yeah.
Like this game is kind of the perfect encapsulation of what the 3DO is. Like it's outrageous. It's kind of off the wall, right? Like it attracts your attention for being kind of weird. But then when you start playing the game, you realize there's not a lot here.
No,
like it's fine, but it's never a good thing when I'm playing a game and I could essentially pull up like a Word document next to it and be like, and make a list of things that I would do differently or things that could be improved. And it's like 2 pages long. Like that's not a good sign.
No. So I guess a little backstory into Captain Quazar. Captain Quazar was a pretty towards the end of 3DO's run kind of game. It came out in 1996. So right around the point where 3DO was basically on the way out. It was co-developed by the 3DO Studio 3DO, which later just became the 3DO company, and Cyclone Studios, who would be quote unquote owned by 3DO, but they were kind of like a Bungie situation where they were owned, but not like a Bungie Psygnosis kind of situation where they were still kind of independent, but they were technically owned by 3DO. This was Cyclone's first game.
Not according to this.
So
Go ahead.
It's unclear. Some sites say this was their first game. Others say Battlesport was.
Yeah, I mean they were close enough that they're probably being developed around the same time.
Yeah, Battlsport's an interesting one because it was released for both the 3DO and then later PlayStation, but Captain Quasar only got a PC port.
Like many 3DO games did.
They did make Uprising X, which I find interesting because I have that on PlayStation. I didn't realize it was the same company.
The rabbit holes, man. Which is like an action strategy thing?
It's like a shooter. Like 3D shooter. Yeah, they made a bunch of PC games. They were mostly 3DO's PC division, and they lasted up until around like 98 when they were then just fully absorbed into 3DO, just in time for 3DO to implode.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, but this game's interesting. I'll give it that.
It's very much something.
So fun fact, because I don't own a physical of this, because this game's fucking expensive now.
It is. Like I have the physical and I paid way too much for it. But I think it's gone up since I bought it. So.
It was like in the hundreds now, I think. Especially if you want to
I didn't pay hundreds for it.
But yeah, so I ended up emulating it, and fun fact, I accidentally grabbed a Japanese ROM the first time, so I played the opening cutscene in Japanese is fucking amazing. It's better than the English version.
Oh yeah, like Japanese dubs of like Western games are always amazing.
The best part is though, like the opening cutscene is all in Japanese, but then the song is still the English version, and then it cuts back to the Japanese, and I'm like, this is great. Like
I love it.
I ended up switching to an American ROM though because I couldn't get through the menus. But
and those menus are rough, man.
Yeah, I did. I went through it enough just to see the cutscenes because this game has a healthy amount of cutscenes when you start. You can see them in the background now.
Yeah, the game has J. Jonah Jameson in it.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
He's just as annoying.
More annoying. He doesn't have any of the charm.
Hmm.
You're trying to get pictures of Spider-Man the whole game.
Pretty much.
Like for our video listeners, this is a picture of him in the manual.
Mhm.
So you can't tell me this cigar chomping, mustachioed, balding man doesn't look like. I know Jay Jonah's not balding, but he is malding.
Yeah. So the best, I guess, like story-wise, there's not a whole lot going on here.
I think you're like, I don't think you're like a mercenary or something, but you're a guy, Mr. Quazar, or a captain. Maybe it's an official rank, I guess. I think it's you're like a police officer or something, because in the intro when it's that little ship, it's like the police, right? And then I guess the guy you're talking to is like your police chief. So I guess you're like a cop or like some kind of like, I don't know, special agent or whatever. And there's like 3 different characters who are doing like bad things. Like one's running illegal spice mills, one is like training terrorist mercenaries, and the other's like plotting like an alien invasion or some shit. And so you just go in with your gun, this gun, and then these guns.
Yeah.
And you just blow shit up basically.
The best way
but in very much a cop fashion, you cause massive amounts of property damage just to solve one thing. And then you cue the meme of "We did it, Patrick. We saved the city."
Yeah. The best way to describe Captain Quazar, I always kind of say he's kind of like Inspector Gadget, where he kind of just lucks his way into fucking everything.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the same charm.
No,
he's Inspector Gadget.
Another comparison, he's like a less charming Captain Quark from like Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, I could see that.
Who doesn't betray you every other game in this case.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure if this guy was in the Ratchet and Clank universe, he would definitely betray you every other game, but
he does look like he'd be like the villain in like a 3D platformer or like a mini boss or something. And he'd probably be a highlight because I think the design of the character isn't bad. Like, I think this game's going for like a weird claymation sort of art style.
I mean, I'll say right off the bat, the game looks good enough for like a 3D game.
Yeah. Like the animation is smooth. The game runs at a pretty solid frame rate. There's not a huge amount of slowdown. It runs pretty well for what it is. And yeah, I think the art style has like this like kind of clay kind of look to it, which I think is kind of unique for its time. And if you think about it, in the mid to late 90s, there was quite a few games that had like a claymation look to it. You know, you had Clay Fighters, you had, I think it was called Neverhood. And there's probably a couple of other examples of games that are going for that style, you know? So I think also Wallace and Gromit was a thing at this time as well. So
yeah, the original 90s shorts definitely were.
Yeah. So I think claymation was kind of a in vogue thing.
It also
this time in the 90s.
It ages better than 3D did at the time.
Yeah. This game, like graphically, is aged okay. You know, definitely one of the better aged games on the system.
Yeah, well, they didn't try to go over the top with 3D like some 3DO games attempted, and sadly the 3DO is not that great at 3D.
Yeah. Like you can tell a lot of things are just like, you know, 2D pixels or sprites or whatever, but they look pretty solid. So
it controls pretty well too. Like it's not.
Here's the thing with that. I'm not a big. This game is an isometric game. Okay,
that's fair.
And I've never really liked isometric games. I've played a lot of them. I've beaten some of them. Just I don't know. It could be just me, but like isometric games never feel right to me. I always get, especially in a game where you have to shoot and aim at shit, I always get confused.
Yeah, it's that is a legitimate criticism towards this game. I felt like at least the movement and like shooting controls were fine. Like I never had any issues.
Like I wouldn't say you're locked on a grid, but you do feel kind of limited in your movement, you know? Yeah, say what you will about Sonic 3D Blast, which is also an isometric game, also developed by Traveler's Tales, but like you can jump, and there's a lot of like fluid motion in that game, and you can make it work. Whereas this, like the motion isn't very fluid, which I get the idea. It's like it wants to lock you into direction so you can aim. But I spent so much time in this game trying to aim and like take things out, and enemies would just like completely demolish my health while I'm just trying to aim at them. You know what I mean? And then like in the first level, you have to take out, I think it's like 29 rockets.
Yeah.
And there was quite a few times where it's like, because I'm not perfectly lined up, like I wouldn't get the rocket and it would go away. You know?
Yeah.
Like a lot of moments where, because of the isometricness, I don't know, maybe just me and my brain, like my brain has a hard time adjusting to that in more kind of actiony situations, you know?
See, my biggest issue was there's just too much shit going on screen. Like,
Yeah.
This game is kind of like, it's a weird hybrid of like trying to do like, say, like a Contra, like just run and gun shooter, but also it's kind of Gauntlet-ish in a way.
Yeah, I could see that. And I don't know if this game's better or worse than Legacy of War, the PS1 Saturn Contra. Maybe I shouldn't rope that game into this.
They're both equally pretty.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say this game is terrible. It just
No.
it didn't end up being what I kind of hoped it would be.
So I'll say this game controls better. Legacy of War at least makes sense where you're supposed to go.
Yeah,
My biggest problem with this game is they put these little arrows on the floor that try to point you in the direction you're supposed to go. They're nonsense. I swear to God, they are just nonsense.
they work about half the time.
Because like every time I swear I find a rocket, it's right when the damn thing's shooting up, and I'm like, great.
Because like it's the moment it enters on screen, no matter where you are, it like starts like the timer for it to go up. So it could be, say, like there could be a wall separating you and the rocket, and it'll still shoot off, even if you're like because you can blow holes in fucking walls. Like who cares? But it takes so long to do that by the time you do that, you're kind of it's such a frantic kind of experience, you know, like you're always on edge.
Well, because it's like not only are the rockets there, but then you also blow up these boxes to find ammo because you don't have unlimited shooting. You have to find ammunition and bombs and stuff. But then there's also these occasional like buildings that will have enemy like traders inside of them, and you have to interrogate them for like passcodes to unlock further levels.
Yeah. And then like you can take out the barracks to prevent more enemies from coming in. And then there's like doors that have secret things. We have to get like keys for doors. It's so weird. Like they'll say you need keys for doors, but then you could just say blow up the fucking door and it'll open anyway. So what's the point, right? Unless it's just to save ammo. But
possibly, but there's so much fucking ammo.
I rarely, if I ever ran out of ammo, it would be on like the regular bullets. But like the missiles and grenades, I never ran out, like ever. So I don't know. And yeah, you die so easily in this game. Like to me, it's like you're just so weak, and I was just constantly dying. And even I was trying to do, because the game has kind of a spread, like a spread shot. Like if you double tap A and then hold it, Quasar will just like like a little 3 thing, which helped sometimes. But a lot of tougher enemies, I would just shoot one missile at them and they die. So it's like, what's the fucking point? Like the regular gun is just kind of useless.
Yeah. Especially taking out, because you need the missiles to take out the rockets, like
at the very least. Like you can try grenades, but he takes so fucking long to wind up a throw of a grenade, and then the grenade slowly floats in the air.
The best thing for grenades I found was when there was a ton of like ammo boxes to blow up. You just throw the grenade and it blows them all up.
Yeah, there was one time where there was like the 4 rockets in the center, and if you time it well, you can throw the grenade right in the center and blow them all up.
Yeah,
it's not easy to do. But if you can do it, you feel good about it.
I do find it funny though. Whenever a rocket shoots up in the air, like the Jay Jonah will just fucking scream at you in the background. If you let too many go, he's like, "I'll need to get someone else on the case. You're a failure," or some shit like that.
Yeah. It's because then you got to take out the spice mills, and the spice mills are like you have to get the right passcode, as you said, to go in the teleporter to get to like a new area, and that new area I found to be way fucking harder than the original area. And just, I don't know, the whole game was just, it felt like a lower tier GBA game. Honestly, you know, because there's a lot of isometric GBA games.
Oh, yeah.
You know, ones that I like, ones I don't like. Like I'm a big fan of Scourge Hive. That game's pretty cool. But also, I was frustrated with that game being more of an isometric thing. But that game was far and away better than this. You know
The
what I mean? Like,
the Spyro games on GBA were pretty good.
depends on the one. Depends
I
on
like
which one.
I like Season of Flame, Season of Ice.
They're okay.
Hmm.
Just okay. But they're better than this. I can say that much. Like, this is a game that's like, it either needs like just better directional control of your character, or like it needs like an analog stick, or it needs something. Like, it just feels like this game is on the precipice of being something really kind of special and cool, but it's like just below the line. You know what I mean?
Yeah, honestly, this excuse me. Honestly, this game is I found this game more disappointing than anything.
Honestly, same. I was hoping to like really like this one, and I wanted to like it.
Like
And that, like, I like how fucking crazy and outrageous it is. Like, that's what I love about these old games, is finding something that's just completely fucking weird. And it is, but it's just the gameplay just isn't there.
it's the gameplay at its best is just fine, and that's
Yeah.
not exactly a great thing.
Yeah. And you kind of have to like beat your head against the wall to like make any sort of true progress, and you can only save when you beat a level. Which really fucking sucks, because then I couldn't like make any progress in this. Like, I played a lot of that first level, but I never beat it.
The only reason I made any progress is because I was playing it on an emulator in save states. That was basically it.
I did not have that luxury, so otherwise I probably would have gotten farther.
I got to like 4 levels in, and they don't change at all. Like, it's the same shit, just with some occasional different obstacles. Even the backgrounds weren't that different. Like, you had like the desert, like a laboratory kind of like jail cell looking area.
Yeah.
It's charming, but
for sure.
Charm can only get you so far. Like, I was thinking of like another 3DO game that we played that was disappointing, which was like Psychic Detective, and I gave a lot of Psychic Detectives like a downfall to it was just trying to be way more than it could be.
Yeah. And in some ways, maybe I like Psychic Detective a little bit more, but I think this does a more competent job, because it doesn't feel like it's lost in its ambition. It just feels like a mediocre game.
This is a game that I feel like needed more time. And
I think if it got like another year of development and it came out in 97 on like the PC and the PlayStation or something, or maybe even on the Fabled M2, I think it would have been something more.
Because I was thinking of what this game reminded me of, and it kind of reminded me of the PS1 game Blasto. Completely different style. Like, Blasto's like a 3D platformer, but they both have like a wacky, crazy protagonist who's like a superhero-esque character, but they both just suffer from incredibly average to mediocre like gameplay.
Yeah, the Blasto guy looks a little bit like Captain Quazar.
I will say Blasto's more interesting just in the fact that he was completely voiced by Phil Hartman,
which is awesome.
Tragically, Phil Hartman's last role, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Or one of his last roles.
How ironic, his last game was Blasto.
Blasto and like Kiki's Delivery Service were, I think, the last 2 things he worked on, which is kind of sad. Well, I mean, Kiki's Delivery Service is great, but
the reference is his girlfriend shot him.
Yeah. You might remember me from such films as I can't do the Simpsons reference right now,
but yeah. This game, it's so close to being something really kind of like a hidden gem. It's so close to being one, but I just for me, it just didn't work. Like, either it needs to be like a side scroller, maybe like a more traditional third person shooter, even like a first person shooter, and I think it would have worked better. You know, because the structure of it isn't that crazy. Like, it's like a slightly open-ended game where it's like, oh, destroy all these things or whatever, right? Like, it's not that, like, the concept isn't that crazy as far as the gameplay goes. It just, for me, it's just, I don't know, isometric views, I'm just not big on them. Like, it's just it's never been my thing. Maybe I'm not British enough. I'm sure maybe we have some Brits who are like, oh, this game's a ledge, bruv. But, you know, it ain't me. Maybe if this is on the Amiga, they would love it.
Maybe. So before we get into must play, okay, stay away, I wanted to talk about the reception a little bit because it's actually kind of surprising. All Game gave it a 3.5 stars. Next Generation gave it 2 stars, so already kind of a split. EGM of all people gave it 8.125, and Power Unlimited gave it an 85. I'm assuming 3DO Magazine no longer existed by this point.
Yeah, probably. Like EGM, the editors named this their 3DO Game of the Year, which I mean, in '96, what the hell was coming out in the 3DO?
Not a lot.
Probably not much. I mean, we'll find out. And yeah, I mean, if this was '96 and we were starving for content on 3DO, maybe this would be considered better, But
another thing too that's kind of interesting is this game had a PC port, but it is such an ancient port, it doesn't run on anything post Windows 95.
Ooh, that's bad.
Yeah, and apparently it barely runs on compatibility mode. So unfortunately, if you want to play this game, you're better off to just emulate the 3DO version.
Ho ho, a pirate's life for me.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want some context, this came out like a week, or 2 weeks after that Doom port.
Yay.
And then, but let's see, in '96 we had Siberia, Johnny Bazooka Tone, Creature Shock, Robin's Requiem, Olympic Soccer, Cyberdillo, Lucien's Quest, Snow Job, Olympic Summer Games, and Casper. That was the entire 3DO lineup of '96. So there was also a game called The Perfect General. That was the entire 3DO lineup in '96.
Yeah, I don't think this is Game of the Year out of all of those.
I haven't played like any of these, so I can't say.
I've played Siberia.
It's better. It's better than that Doom port.
Like,
Safely say that.
That's not hard.
Yeah, and if that Casper game is what I think it is, if I remember, it's kind of like a polarizing game.
I've heard. I mean, Lucien's Quest is popular, but that's kind of just because it's the only RPG. Because it's a C tier RPG on any other console.
Yeah, and Johnny Bazooka Tone is one of those games I'm looking forward to playing because it's a platformer.
I've played Siberia. Siberia is a pretty good game. Well, last I remember, it's been a while.
For sure.
But yeah, so must play, okay, stay away. I'm gonna just flat out say stay away from this one.
I don't want to be that harsh, but I'll give it I guess I'll go stay away. Part of me wanted to give it like a very light okay, but
my reasoning on this one is just because it's such a hard game to come across now, and if you want to truly get that 3DO experience, you have to shell out some cash for such a mediocre experience that it's just not really worth it.
Yeah, according to price charting, just this guy is like over $100.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't recommend it for that price. So
yeah, it's just not worth it.
So,
but
if only I wanted to like this one, but
it's stylistically nice. The graphics are really nice. The soundtrack's annoying, but that's
oh god, I fucking hate the music. I hate the fucking music in this game.
I did like the rap song at the beginning. I thought that was interesting.
It's no DK64 rap.
No, I honestly, I think I liked it mostly just because I watched the Japanese intro first, and it was just such a funny twist.
That version's got to be better.
Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, though, yeah, it's not really worth your time. If you're gonna play it emulated, I guess.
Sure.
But for next week, I think we said we want to do Petanque next.
Yeah, let's do Petanque.
Let's get our pinball on.
Well, do you want to do real pinball as well? So
yeah,
I think there's only 2 pinball games.
Yeah, why not? I'll have to emulate that, but
I gotta emulate both. So
okay, yeah. So let's do another 2-for-1 special, and let's cover some pinball games.
Let's do it.
Yeah, because let's face it, I'm just spoiling ahead. There ain't gonna be much to say about Petanque. So.
Oh, there's 3. There's Battle Pinball, which I don't think released outside of Japan. Real Pinball, and then Petanque.
Yeah. Let's cover the 2 that came out over here.
All right, sounds good to me.
All right. Well, pretty short review on this one. I think we spent half the episode talking about Game Informer. But, well, unfortunately, though, there wasn't much to say about this one. So
Yeah, not much we can do.
the countdown to 100 is going to be interesting. We're already off to a wonderful start.
Yeah. It'll get better, kids. Don't worry.
But anyways, guys, once again, thanks for joining us on the 3DO Experience. The 3DO Experience can be found on all your major podcasting platforms, and you can find us over at the Superpod Network, along with a bunch of great shows, including Superpod Saga, Super Ghost Radio, Retro Rehab, Tommy's Video Game Ride Along, Remember 64, Bar Silence, A Novel Console, Gaming Together, Friday Night Gamecast, The Elder Trolls, Find Time. Did I already say Remember 64?
I think so.
All right. And then the GNC shows, you know them. And I believe that's everybody this time. I probably forgot somebody, but that's just part of the core at this point.
It's okay. You're forgiven.
But yeah, you can find us all there, along with some videos, some blogs, all sorts of fun stuff, and an occasional network special every now and then.
Yeah, I think we're planning one soon, aren't we?
We're planning one. I have no idea when it's going to be, though.
Yeah, neither do I.
But yeah, so once again, guys, we'll see you all later.
Bye-bye.
If you're not playing on a 3DO system, what are you playing with?